on First at 9 this Tuesday, the 11th of June 2024. Stand easy. Russian Foreign Minister promises to not enlist Sri Lankan veterans in the Russian armed forces. More than 700 Sri Lankan veterans on both sides of the Russo-Ukrainian war, reveals the Defence Secretary. Catching up. More reforms needed in education to facilitate faster university enrollments, says the Minister of Education. To be or not to be, CEB submits proposal to reduce electricity tariffs in July. PUCSL to make a final decision after evaluations and public consultation. Back on top, Sri Lanka among the top travel destinations in the world, claim Forbes and enjoy travel.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබා ගත හැක.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening, Sri Lanka's foreign ministry revealed that Russia has agreed to cease any further recruitment of Sri Lankan military personnel to the Russian armed forces. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov confirmed that decision taken by top Russian authorities during a meeting with his Sri Lankan counterpart, President's Council Ali Sabri, in Russia yesterday. Minister of Foreign Affairs, President's Council Ali Sabri met Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of the BRICS 2024 foreign ministerial session with developing countries in Russia. During the meeting, the two foreign ministers agreed to further enhance bilateral ties, including in the spheres of tourism, higher education and economic cooperation. Minister Sabri during the meeting brought to the attention of his Russian counterpart the issue of Sri Lankan citizens who have joined the Russian armed forces and sought his assistance in resolving issues encountered by the Sri Lankan recruits. In response, Lavrov agreed to review all issues in that regard and take suitable action to arrest the situation during the forthcoming meeting between the Sri Lankan high-level delegation led by State Minister of Foreign Affairs Taraka Balasurya and the Russian Federation's Deputy Minister of Defense, scheduled to be held on the 26th and the 27th of this month. At the request of Minister Ali Sabri, it was also agreed that no further Sri Lankan recruits will be enlisted in the Russian military.
Less sugar, same great taste. From Melbourne.
Meanwhile, Defence Secretary Kamal Gunaratne stated that discussions will be held with the Russian Ministry of Defence and the Russian Embassy to repatriate all Sri Lankan servicemen caught up in the Russo-Ukrainian war at the moment. Addressing a gathering in Colombo, he further stated that legal action will be taken against all individuals involved in the human trafficking racket that led to the suffering of hundreds of Sri Lankan veterans trapped in the front lines in Ukraine.
The Russian embassy has agreed to stop the deployment of Sri Lankan war veterans in the front lines, and they have also decided to halt the visa issuing process in this regard. There are around 700 to 800 Sri Lankan soldiers serving on both sides of the conflict. We have already repatriated 42 Sri Lankan soldiers, including the 2 repatriated today. However, many still remain to be repatriated. We were invited for discussions on 26th and 27th of this month with the Russian Ministry of Defense and the Russian Embassy to resolve this matter. At that moment, we are planning to get a complete list of the Sri Lankan soldiers serving in Russia, and we will take every legal measures possible against those who are part of this human trafficking racket.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
The Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, claims that the Ceylon Electricity Board has submitted its proposals for the tariff revision to be implemented next month. According to the proposed tariff revision, the domestic consumption between 31 to 60 units will see the steepest reduction of 55%, with the per unit price expected to come down from 20 rupees to 9 rupees. The minister said PUCSL will determine the final tariffs after an evaluation of the proposal and a public consultation. Following a statement in Parliament by the Minister of Power and Energy on the 6th of June, the proposal for further reductions in energy charges for the domestic sector, the religious sector, general purpose and government buildings was submitted to the Public Utilities Commission last Friday. Accordingly, the CEB has proposed to reduce the current tariff levied on the first 30 units consumed in the domestic sector from 8 rupees per unit to 6 rupees. The monthly tariff on the category is expected to remain unchanged at 150 rupees. The CEB has also proposed to reduce the tariff charged for power consumption between 31 to 60 units from 20 rupees to 9 rupees per unit. For electricity consumed between 61 to 90 units, the CEB proposed a 12 rupee reduction from 30 rupees to 18 rupees. The tariff of 50 rupees charged per unit from 91 to 120 units consumed is also expected to be reduced to 30 rupees, while the CEB has proposed to bring down the tariff of 50 rupees per unit for consumption between 121 to 180 units to 42 rupees. A proposal was also made to reduce the 75 rupee charge levied per unit for consumption above 181 units to 65 rupees. The fixed monthly charge for the various consumption categories in the domestic sector were proposed to be held unchanged by the CEB. Along with the tariff reductions in the domestic sector, the CEB proposed to reduce electricity charges for religious and charitable institutions as well. Accordingly, the CEB proposed a 2 rupee reduction for the first 30 units consumed, causing, if implemented, for the tariff to fall from 8 rupees to 6 rupees. Through the proposal submitted to the PUCSL, the CEB proposed to hold the per unit tariff charged for power consumption from 31 to 90 units and 91 to 120 units at the current rate. The CEB also proposed to bring down the per unit tariff related to consumption between 121 to 180 units to 30 rupees from 32 rupees. The CEB further highlighted that if religious or charitable institutions consume beyond 181 units, a 1 rupee reduction can be accommodated, bringing the per unit tariff down from 43 rupees to 42 rupees. The CEB also proposed to not revise the fixed monthly fee in all categories for religious and charitable institutions. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has appointed a specialist committee to address salary anomalies in the government service. A statement by the President's Media Division revealed that the committee will be chaired by former Presidential Secretary Uday Seneviratne and will include Director General of the National Budget Department S.D.J. Nilukshan, Director General of the Management Services Department Hiransa Kalutantri, Director General of Combined Services S. Aloka Bandara, Director General of Institutions H.A. Chandana Kumarasinghe, Dr. Terence Gamini de Silva, Dumindu Hulangamua, Chandi H. Dharmaratne and Isru Tilakavardhana. Presidential Additional Secretary Vernon Pereira serves as the secretary to the committee. The statement said, with careful consideration of the prevailing salary anomalies among various employer groups within the public service, measures will be taken in the 2025 budget to review and potentially revise salaries, wages and other provisions across all sectors. Additionally, the President has instructed that the committee submit its recommendation reports within 3 months. Minister of Education Dr. Susil Premajayantha highlighted key reforms aimed at minimizing delays in Sri Lanka's education sector, particularly by accelerating the O-level and A-level examinations to facilitate faster university enrollments. Addressing an event, the Minister of Education also stressed the need to bolster the state university education system while giving space for private universities to thrive. He further revealed plans to gradually bring up the advanced level examination up the calendar over the next 2 years with the intention of finally holding the 2026 GCE advanced level examination in August of the same year. A special event to felicitate the top achievers of the 2023 GCE advanced level examination was held last evening at the Ministry of Education premises under the patronage of Minister of Education Dr. Susil Premajayantha.
පසුගිය වසර ගණනාව තුළම අපි දැක්කේ සාමාන්‍ය පෙළ විභාගයට පෙනී ඉඳලා ප්‍රතිඵල දුන්නාන් පස්සේ තමයි උසස් පෙළ අපේ පාසල පටන් ගන්න.
During the past few years, academic pertaining to the advanced level curriculum commenced only after all-level results were released. As a result, students wasted about 4 to 5 months of their time. To address this issue, we have decided to begin A-level studies prior to the release of all-level results, and advanced level academics will proceed undeterred even after ordinary level results are released. Candidates who faced all-level exams this year will have their A-level exams by August 2026. This year, the advanced level examination will commence on the 27th of November. By next year, we will bring the advanced level examination up to September. Finally, after 2 years, our students will be able to face the advanced level exam within the right schedule. We will take measures to ensure that no time is wasted between the O-level and A-level examinations with the intention of facilitating faster university enrollments for Sri Lankan students. Our goal is to allow Sri Lankan students to get their first degree by the time they are 21 years of age. Students may have various career aspirations at the moment, but those aspirations could change over time. New job opportunities are being created. Those are hot topics being discussed internationally at the moment. However, in Sri Lanka, we talk about when salary deficits will be resolved and when the next salary increment will be granted. Students have no interest in that regard. We are responsible for ruining the school experience for students. There is no point blaming the government because the government can only do so much. It cannot go beyond its mandate. I will not let anyone abolish free education as long as I am in charge. I recently saw university students being dragged out for protest. It is imperative that we reinforce the state university education system while giving space for private education to thrive. We have no problem with that. We need to balance both systems of education.
රාජ්‍ය විශ්වවිද්‍යාල පද්ධතිය ශක්තිමත් කරන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි පෞද්ගලික අධ්‍යාපනය ලබන්නත් ඉඩ දෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක අපේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ. මේ දෙකම තුලණය කරන්න ඕනේ.
The Colombo District Court has extended the interim injunction issued against President's Counsel Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa until the 25th of June. The injunction order, which was issued on the 24th of April, prevents Dr. Vijayadasa from functioning as the chairman and as a member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was appointed acting chairman of the SLFP by the party's faction led by former President Maithripala Sirisena on the 21st of April during an executive committee meeting. The court has also issued an injunction order preventing MP Sarathi Dushmantha Mitrapala from serving as the general secretary of the party. Following considerations of a complaint submitted by MPs Duminda Disanayaka, Lasantha Anagiyawanna and Minister Mahinda Amaravira, the district court judge granted these injunctions. However, Minister Rajapaksa later filed a petition with the Court of Appeal seeking to invalidate the recent order issued by the Colombo District Court. On the 7th of May, the Court of Appeal dismissed the petition filed by Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa seeking to suspend the interim injunction. Now in some political news, National People's Power leader Anru Kumara Disanayaka met public representatives of the North during the including Tamil National Alliance MP M.A. Sumanthiran, Mave Senadiraja at the Ilanke Tamil Arasu Katchi party office in Jaffna today. He also met former TNA MP Dharmalingam Siddharthan during his visit to Jaffna. The two parties have discussed at length the current political atmosphere in the country, issues faced by the people and the need to create national harmony. NPP National Executive Committee members Bimal Ratnayaka and Ramalingam Chandrasekhara also attended the meeting. Leader of the Maubima Janata Party, Dilip Jayavira, says his party is taking every step possible to create inclusive nationalism in Sri Lanka. Addressing a public gathering in Melbourne, Australia, Jayavira said that it is a must to ensure that the people in the country have a positive attitude, adding that there is no point in having excessive resources without the public's motivation. A meeting organised by the Sri Lankan community in Australia was held at the Monash University Clayton campus in Melbourne yesterday under the patronage of the leader of the Maubima Janata Party, Dilip Jayavira.
We do not need a king. We need a leader. We need a leader who was born in our country and shaped himself through Sri Lankan education. We need a role model who transcends traditional divisions drawn by politicians. We need a role model who proved himself through work.
I've seen so many people in this country, but I haven't seen a person who can reach people in various strata of society. The most valuable quality a leader can possess is a learning mindset.
I can't speak to you about the plans that Dilip has. I can't speak to you about the things that he plans to do for the country. What I can speak to you about is the man that I have got to know over 8 years. I know him to be a man of integrity. I know him to be a man of resilience. I know him to be a man who has built something incredible out of nothing.
මේ රටට අපි ආදරය කරමින් මේ රටේ වෙනසක් කරගන්නට අවශ්‍යයි කියලා අපි නොකරපු දෙයක් නැති තරම්.
Powered by our love for this country, we did so much to inspire change in Sri Lanka. The only change the country needs right now is a change from its old environment. There is no solution left. We have to motivate our people. We need to make sure that people have positive attitudes because there is no point in having excessive resources without the public's motivation. Sri Lankans who have reached the pinnacle of negative thinking are now of the view that they will vote for anyone even if their policies end up being disastrous. However, all of us know that it is not the solution. Under the concept of a happy nation, the government of the country has to be smart. All of you will have to request the Sri Lankan government to issue a unique digital ID.
අපිට අවශ්‍යයි මෙන්න මේ කේතාංකය unique ID එක issue කරගන්න.
What is your plan for the Tamil youth in Jaffna?
Tamil youth and the rest of the youth in Sri Lanka all are the same. For me, they are all Sri Lankans and we believe youth of Sri Lanka is our main objective and the primary target. It is not for us that we do this politics. If you take Mahabibu Janata Party, our party, it is a very youthful party and most of the active members are the youth. And for those youth in Jaffna and the rest of the youth in the south are all the same. For me, I think they should be given equal opportunities, whatever it is. So we should first of all let them not think that there is a difference and they should feel it. We do everything possible in terms of creating what we believe is inclusive nationalism.
Leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, says that the lack of knowledge has left nearly 50,000 graduates across the country unemployed. Addressing a gathering, the opposition leader stressed the need to direct such graduates for training programs in order to build a skillful labour force in the country.
The 231st edition of the Sakwala program was held at the Sandili Pai Hindu College in Jaffna under the patronage of opposition leader Sajith Premadasa.
I saw some graduates protesting in front of the divisional secretariat in Jaffna. There are at least 4,000 unemployed graduates in the northern province alone, while between 40,000 to 50,000 graduates remain unemployed across the country. Our graduates often fail to secure jobs in the private sector. However, the fault is not with the private sector. There's a massive issue in this education system. How can we develop a country like this? We intend to address this issue by providing training opportunities to such graduates in order to develop their skills. Subsequently, job opportunities could be provided to a skilled labour force.
Meanwhile, the opposition leader also met with several representatives of the Tamil National Alliance last evening at the party office of Ilankai Tamil Arasu Katchi in Jaffna. The opposition leader's media unit revealed that the meeting took place following a special invitation extended by the Tamil National Alliance representatives.
We will continue to work towards the implementation of the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is not new to this country. It is something which is included in the Constitution. However, it is essential that we have a proper plan prior to the implementation of the amendment.
Now let's take a look at some local news in brief. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka has released recommendations regarding the controversial demolition of a hotel in Dehiwala that took place on the 1st of January this year. The recommendations were handed out to the Secretary to the Minister of Urban Development and Housing. Accordingly, the Human Rights Commission recommended the authorities to hold an investigation and take measures against the actions of the Director General of the Coastal Conservation and Coastal Resource Management Department. Recommendations were also given to the Inspector General of the Police to hold an investigation on how the respondent parties reacted to the incident. The recommendations state that the economic damage caused during the relevant period should be assessed and an appropriate compensation should be paid to the employees of the hotel. The Human Rights Commission further recommended that the government assess the damage caused to the plaintiffs by the arbitrary demolishing of the building and pay the same amount to the plaintiffs. Two individuals who alerted the police regarding the murder of a woman in Talangama Talahena were arrested by the police on suspicion of being involved in the murder, so reported. According to reports, the deceased woman was allegedly stabbed to death by her husband and his friend on the 6th of June over a personal dispute. Meanwhile, another woman was stabbed to death early this morning at a house in the Miwanapalana area. The police are conducting further investigations to establish the motive behind the murder. Welcome back. Now, Sri Lanka has been named one of the best destinations tourists should travel to during summer this year, according to the Forbes magazine. Meanwhile, Enjoy Travel magazine has ranked Sri Lanka 5th out of the top 20 best honeymoon destinations in the world.
According to the Forbes magazine, the summer season this year has the potential to be the busiest travel season of all time. Forbes stated that some 285 million people travelled internationally between January and March, which is a 20% increase compared to the same period in 2023. The magazine added that indicators suggest a high number of Americans in particular will travel in the next few months. Between October 2022 and September 2023, the State Department issued 24 million passport books and cards, the highest number in US history. Against such a backdrop, Forbes has named Sri Lanka one of the 3 destinations they believe tourists should travel to this summer. While highlighting that tourism is a major source of income for the island, the Forbes magazine added that visiting the country can help put cash on the locals' hands during a time period where the country is recovering from a severe economic crisis and other recent incidents. Forbes is of the view that with all that Sri Lanka has to offer, combined with its tourism authority's marketing efforts and proliferation of wellness and luxury hotels, they see Sri Lanka growing in popularity this summer and beyond. The remaining 2 destinations recommended by Forbes are Paros Islands in Greece and Mauritius. Meanwhile, Enjoy Travel magazine has ranked Sri Lanka 5th out of the top 20 best honeymoon destinations in the world. Enjoy Travel stated that Sri Lanka's incredibly delicious cuisine and affordability make the island nation one of the world's most coveted honeymoon destinations.
Now, in other business news, the Colombo Stock Exchange closed in green today, boosted by gains in capital goods and food and beverage stocks. The Colombo Stock Exchange All-Share Price Index climbed 0.11% to settle at 12,394.99 points. Haley's and Sunshine Holdings were the top gainers on the index, rising 4.99% and 3.17% respectively. Trading volume on the ASPI rose to 95.5 million shares from 63.4 million shares in the previous session. The S&P Sri Lanka 20 meanwhile climbed 0.13% to end at 3,687.99 points. The equity market's turnover rose to 3.73 billion rupees from 1.69 billion rupees in the previous session. The capital goods sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, while the food, beverage and tobacco sector was the second highest contributor. Foreign investors were net sellers of offloading stocks worth 166.9 million rupees, while domestic investors were net buyers, purchasing shares worth 3.58 billion rupees. Now let's take a look at the rupee exchange rates during the day. Vidul Lanka PLC announced that Surya Shakti Private Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary of Vidul Lanka, entered into an agreement to develop the 10 megawatt Vaunathu 2 solar power plant in Batiklo. The project is expected to attract a total investment of approximately 2.2 billion rupees. Now let's take a look at that and some more corporate news in brief.
Vidul Lanka PLC announced that Surya Shakti Private Limited signed a power purchase agreement for the development of the 10 megawatt Vaunathu 2 solar power plant in Batiklo. Surya Shakti Private Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of Solar Universe Private Limited, a joint venture between Vidul Lanka PLC, Windforce PLC and High Energy Services Private Limited. The project expects to attract a total investment of approximately 2.2 billion rupees. Meanwhile, the Hat National Bank announced that the board of directors of the company granted its approval to commence discussions with DFCC Bank PLC, the joint venture partner of Equity Partners Private Limited, to acquire DFCC Bank's 50% stake in the share capital of Equity Partners Private Limited. In its corporate disclosure, the organization stated that a further communication will be issued following the finalization of the decision. This announcement was made in compliance with the immediate disclosure requirements of the Colombo Stock Exchange. In other corporate news, the board of directors at the South Pacific Stock Exchange, licensed operator of the stock market in Fiji, announced the appointment of Sri Lankan Siraj Obesekara as its chief executive officer with effect from June 2024. The appointment places the new CEO of SPX among the youngest chief executives in the stock exchange industry.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.